Well, hello, hello, hello. If you've landed here, you've landed on Let's Talk News, and I'm your host, Leticia Remauro. And I see we already have Australia landed. Hi, Kevin. How are you? He has already sacked some government ministers. Of course he has, because he has to get the socialists in. Tonight, our show is about the UK's new Prime Minister, Andy Burnham. And in a lot of ways, it's exactly the same conversation that we've been having over the past, I don't know, months, maybe a year, about the socialist agenda. Yes, and it's all connected. Isn't it interesting? And tonight, we're going to show you how everything comes back to the socialist agenda and one guy who's residing in China right now. His name is Neville Roy Singham. And of course, because I've said his name now, this show will probably not be seen by too many people, but I'm going to just continue to keep on saying his name and connecting all the dots for you, because he is, if we were in the movie, Demolition Man, which I highly recommend everybody watch, because that movie, in my opinion, is what we are living now. Singham would be the evil Dr. Cocktail. And yeah, you guys got to watch it and report back to me. It stuck in my head. It was Sylvester Stallone. I think it was in the 90s at some time, and Wesley Snipes. Yeah. Anyway, we're living it now. Hello, Francine. Good to have you. Hello, Angela Ricca, Andrew Dorman, and Kevin Young. Good to have you. So, what do they have in common? Okay. What does Andy Burnham have in common with Code Pink, for instance? Hello, Lucille, ROG. Good to have you. Well, let me connect the dots for you. Code Pink was started by Jodie Evans. Jodie Evans is Neville Roy Singham's wife. If you don't know who Code Pink is, remember recently a bunch of people got on a plane and went to Venezuela to protest Trump, taking Maduro, and they protested in the streets. And they said that they were there on behalf of the people of Venezuela, who, oh, by the way, are now doing much, much better, because Maduro is gone and the government is becoming more representative of the people. And their economy is good because Trump has actually got the oil being sold, and so money is getting in, but it's not just going into the head of the government. It's actually coming down to the people. Energy is better. So many things are better. But let me just refresh your memory. This is the woman who, this is now back in 2013. They've been around for a long time. They started to work when Obama was president. Watch.
Today,
why don't you let me address it, ma'am? Why don't you sit down and I will tell you exactly what I'm going to do.
Today.
I'm about to address it.
Commander-in-Chief.
Let me address it.
Close Guantanamo today.
Why don't you let me address it, ma'am?
Those 86 prisoners.
Why don't you sit down and I will tell you exactly what I'm going to do.
Today. I love my country. I love the rule of law. The drones are making us less safe and keeping people in indefinite detention in Guantanamo. I speak out on behalf of Abdul Rahman al-Awaki, 16-year-old born in Denver, killed in Yemen just because his father was someone we don't like. I speak out on behalf of the Constitution, on behalf of the rule of law. I love the rule of law. I love my country. You are making us less safe by killing so many innocent people.
Committee will come to order. We're asking all the audience now to either no more I understand dissent. I've lived it. So I respect the right of Code Pink to protest and to use that right. But you know what? I also know something about Code Pink. Code Pink was started by a woman and women who were opposed to war, but who also thought that the government's job was to take care of people.
No more war! No more war! No more war!
So now Obama and Kerry and many Democrats, I'm not going to say Kerry because I don't know that for a fact, but I do know Obama and Kamala and Newsom. They've thrown their lot in with Code Pink. They've been bought by Jodie Evans and Neville Roy Singham, who are working on behalf of the CCP. They are lovers of the CCP, and their goal is global dominance by the Chinese. Their goal is to remove the borders of not only America, but also of all the Western nations. And we've seen that. We've seen what's going on. So that was back in 2013. They didn't want any more war. They didn't want any deportations. And they actively protested against Obama. Interesting, isn't it? Hi, Karen. Good to have you. Hi, Professor. Good to have you. So, what does Code Pink have to do with Andy Burnham? Well, Andy Burnham is a member of the Labor Party. Now he's the head of the Labor Party. And Andy Burnham was similar to Obama, similar to AOC, similar to Mamdani, plucked out of obscurity to become the prime minister. But it wasn't an easy road at first. He's a socialist through and through. Let me just play this little clip about Burnham's ambition and how he got to where he is. This was a couple of years ago that Sky News did a bit on him. So have a look.
It's brutal, to be honest, isn't it? This is no way to run the country.
He's been styled by some as the King of the North, but who really is Andy Burnham? Born in Liverpool and raised in Cheshire, Burnham has cultivated a gritty grassroots political image. But his early path through politics was really anything but. First made a minister under Blair, he entered the cabinet under Brown. Moved to the culture and sport brief, he was heckled at a service marking the Hillsborough disaster.
96 fellow football supporters who died will never be forgotten. And he asked us to think at this time.
That led him to back a new inquiry, eventually winning praise from families. But as Health Secretary, he was also criticised for his handling of the Mid-Staff's NHS scandal. Always ambitious, Burnham has already run for Labour leader twice, finishing fourth in 2010 and second 5 years later. He briefly served in Jeremy Corbyn's shadow cabinet, where he brought Keir Starmer into his team. But he quit as an MP in 2017 to stand in the first ever election for a Greater Manchester mayor.
Andy Burnham selected.
Winning by a landslide, within weeks his city was dealing with the deadly Manchester Arena bombing. His profile rose further during the pandemic, where he went into battle with Westminster over restrictions and financial support.
If they impose this Tier 3 deal on us, they will ruin thousands of people's lives in this city.
Many praised him for sticking up for the North, but others accused him of opportunism. Policy-wise, Burnham has spent his time as mayor focused on public transport, on rough sleeping, on housing and on growth. Now, while all aims certainly haven't been met, he can point to a Manchester that's booming on his watch. Now, he's been open about wanting to apply his approach as mayor to the country as a whole.
There's been a few choice words from government about you potentially plotting some sort of leadership challenge. Is that wide of the mark?
I'm not doing interviews in the street, I'm sorry.
His ongoing ambition has been clear too, as he tried to stand to become an MP again, only to be blocked by the party top brass. Now, some still view Andy Burnham with suspicion, wondering if he's the real deal or just an able cultivator of his own image. Whatever the truth, polling suggests he's far more popular than any other party figure. But without a seat in the Commons, his route to Downing Street is still far from straightforward.
So, Jeremy Corbyn, Jeremy Corbyn, you heard him mentioned there. So this young man came up with Jeremy Corbyn and rose up with Jeremy Corbyn. And he knows how to use social media to his advantage, much like AOC, much like Mamdani, nothing different there. They spend a lot of time on social media, and they spend a lot of time cultivating young people. So what does Jeremy Corbyn, Andy Burnham, Code Pink, how do they all come together? Well, they come together through the Democratic Socialists of America, the DSA. The DSA, where Rashida Tlaib and AOC and so many other socialists are making a rise. And who's the main backer of the Democratic Socialists of America? Well, that would be Code Pink and Jodie Evans, and by extension, Neville Roy Singham. The DSA endorsed Corbyn to become prime minister. And also, Corbyn spoke at the DSA's National Convention. He's addressed DSA events and been hosted by chapters. In 2025, Corbyn participated in a phone bank for New York City DSA member and mayoral candidate Zohran Mamdani. He has publicly praised DSA's efforts. So there's a strong connection between the DSA and Corbyn. As a matter of fact, the Labour Party was campaigning in America for Kamala Harris in 2024. They were very involved in the campaign. Hello, Mickey Patrides. Good to have you. So there's a real clear connection here between the Democratic Socialists of America and Andy Burnham. And he doesn't hide it. He absolutely does not hide it. But the bigger question here is, well, it's not a question. We know. We've talked about it. This is Singham and the CCP with their filthy little hands now into British politics. All right, listen.
My name is Malcolm Brabant, and as you can probably guess from my accent, I'm British, and my country has got a new Prime Minister today. Andy Burnham is the 4th PM in 5 years, which just goes to show you how volatile British politics is. Once upon a time, Italy used to be known as the most unstable country in Europe, getting rid of its governments really pretty quickly. But now, Italy is pretty stable in comparison to the United Kingdom, and that's because our prime ministers have developed this rather unnerving habit of crashing and burning really quickly. And so it's going to be interesting to see just how long Andy Burnham is going to last. Now, there's great cynicism about him getting into office because he staged basically a palace coup against Keir Starmer. Once Starmer had lost the faith of his government, then Burnham went on manoeuvres to get as much support as he could from the Labour Party. And he had to hold a special election because he was the mayor of Manchester and wasn't in Parliament. He staged a special election, well, he didn't stage it, but he was part of a special election that enabled him to get into Parliament. And then he was able to challenge Starmer properly, and he won the support of more than 300 Labour MPs. Nobody else challenged him, and so that's why it's become very much like a coronation. There have been fears that Burnham was really going to turn Britain to the left. But he's just started to announce members of his cabinet, and the most important one is the Chancellor of the Exchequer, the man who's in charge of Britain's purse strings. And there were fears that that was going to be given to a left-winger. But in the event, what has happened is that Burnham has given it to John Healey, who used to be the Minister for Defence, and he's seen very much as being a safe pair of hands. And that will certainly calm the fears in the city, because there were really fears that it was going to go downhill pretty fast. And he's also appointed a guy called Ed Miliband to the Foreign Office. Miliband wanted to be the Chancellor of Exchequer, and he was the left-winger that everybody was scared of. But now he's been given the consolation prize of the Foreign Ministry. So, Burnham is somebody who wants to see, more powerful government. He also wants to look after the north of England, where he comes from. And so, it's going to be a fairly interesting period, to see, how long this honeymoon period lasts. The first call he made basically was to Donald Trump, which is a fairly sort of strategically sensible thing to do. The pair of them talked about football, and President Trump has been invited to go to Manchester. Now, this is the start of Mr. Burnham's honeymoon. Let's see how long it lasts.
Well, I disagree a little bit about the Minister of the Treasury and the Foreign Minister. See, the guy in charge of the money could be, that was a smart move from Burnham and the socialists to put somebody who's more conservative in charge of the Treasury. It's kind of like what Mamdani, right, is doing in New York City. He's claiming he balanced the budget in New York, but he balanced it by cutting police. He balanced it in a way that no mayor in the past would have done it, by cutting out public safety, by he's letting homeless live in the streets. He's doing things that you never would have, no other mayor would have done. But he talked about money that, his first move was, oh, look, we balanced the budget. And he had a talking point, right? And now he's also not, the police department is not reporting certain crimes. So it looks like crime is down. It's bullshit, of course, because whenever a socialist's mouth is moving, it's bullshit. But he eased everybody's fears so that he could slowly start taking land, which he's doing. He's fixing the rent. It sounds like a great idea, right? To fix the rent at a certain price, but landlords now are not making money. And so what's going to happen? There's going to be a huge fire sale on property in New York. And who's going to have the first right of it is going to be the government. It's a bigger government, right? Which is what socialists love. And then they can sell it off for cheap to friends and family, or fellow socialists who are going to get wealthy, because we're talking about New York City and we're talking about now the UK. Same thing, right? So the guy, the consolation prize, the foreign minister, no, that's important. Why is that important? Because the UK has to make sure that all the other Western countries get in line. And that's why the first call was to Donald Trump. Very similar to Mamdani, right? Meeting with Trump in the White House. It's important. It's important because at the end of the day, America is the target. America is the target because they've already taken over France. They've, now the UK, have the UK, and they've had it for a little while now. They have been taking over these Western countries. And that's the goal. The goal is to get rid of Western culture. Mamdani isn't budgeting anything. No, he did. He had a balanced budget, and he got Kathy Hochul to buy in. See, they're managing to get people to adopt socialist as not a bad phrase. And they tested the waters first by seeing if they could get a whole bunch of people to decide, to believe that men could have babies. That was the most far-fetched thing they could do. But if they could get psychologically, if they could get people to believe that, then they can sell anything to the useful idiots. They sold the idea of allowing countries to be invaded without picking up a weapon when they opened the borders, right? All these refugees into Ireland, into Germany, into Italy, into France, into the UK, into Canada, into America. They've been selling these obscene and ridiculous ideas that nobody in the past would have ever bought into in their own country. They've been able to turn people against their own country, then bring enough people who hated those countries in to make it so, to make the majority of the country loathe itself. It's the only way that the globalists win here. And it's the only, and at the end of the day, it's all for the same reason. It's for the purpose of making China the strongest nation on earth. And I mean, we've talked about it here. Did Nostradamus say that the yellow man will rule the earth? I've read the translation as that, but maybe, I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong. Okay, so I have the 5-minute speech from Burnham in front of 10 Downing Street. Let's listen to it together because he sounds a lot like Mum Donnie.
I have just come from Buckingham Palace, where I have accepted His Majesty the King's invitation to form a government. In doing so, I am acutely conscious that I am the 6th person in the last 10 years to walk up this street, the 7th Prime Minister since 2016, making this a moment for reflection and new resolution. It requires my generation of politicians to raise our game and rise to the new challenge. Britain needs to show the world that we can regain our stability once again. And that is our challenge, to make politics work, to make it work better. I know people at home are fed up with politics. I hear you, and I want to be honest with you. We have not been good enough, and we need to be better. We will be. We will make this moment a circuit breaker for Britain, bringing forward the biggest changes in the last 40 years. A new political model and a new economic model. In the 1980s, Britain took some wrong turns. Political power was centralised, economic power privatised, large parts of the country deindustrialised, and they still haven't recovered. Many feel as though they're still in decline, and they don't have the ability to turn things around. And that's why we will change politics, to make it more collaborative, more about problem solving than point scoring. And we will take power out of here and carry it into every postcode in the land so that they can do more. And in doing more, build a new economy, where we put life's essentials back under stronger public control to make them affordable to you again. Reindustrialising Britain, using public procurement to back British industry. Later this year, I will bring forward a new plan for Britain, a 10-year plan, laying out a path from where we are now to where I believe we all want Britain to be, wherever we're coming from, whatever party we support. But I can do something to give people some breathing space now, some help with the cost of living. And I will set out some of those measures starting tomorrow, including how we pay for them. We will help more young people into work by changing the education system and giving them more support, more mental health support. And we will build more council homes. That is the fair and sustainable way to bring the welfare bill down, to meet our fiscal rules and to honour our commitments on defence to our international partners. We will help people to live well, building a more preventative state, investing in people's success rather than paying for failure. And that work starts now. I will soon go through that door behind me and issue my first instruction to end rough sleeping in our country. It's about putting the right values and the right standards at the heart of government. I will put the care of people at the heart of everything I do. I will give this my all, and I ask you all to pull with me. Let's build a new national sense of unity, of common purpose and positivity. Let us make this the moment when Britain starts to believe again, the moment we bring back hope. Thank you very much, everybody.
The moment we bring back hope. Now, wasn't that Obama's message, hope? What did you hear there? He's going to end rough sleeping by building more government housing. He's going to remove the privatization of business. He wants the industrial nation to be run by the government control of business. He wants more government. He wants government to have a heart. Isn't that interesting? So the interesting thing is that this is happening while Donald Trump is president. And I mean, they're still trying to knock him off. But if Americans wake up, they can see a golden age in America. Why? Because those businesses that flee those Western nations that are all turning socialist can find a home right here in America. And Donald Trump can wind up being absolutely successful as president and leave a legacy. The thing is, and it's interesting. Kevin said, "Hi, Colleen, how are you?" Kevin says the king is one of them. Of course, he's one of them. Isn't it interesting that the king embraces the socialist message? He's supposed to stay apolitical, but he embraces the socialist message. He just invited Burnham to form a new government, which is traditional when a new prime minister comes in. But who stands to gain if government has all the money? The leaders of that government, right? I guess AOC and Bernie Sanders would call them oligarchs, but in every socialist movement, the leaders have all the money and the people have none. I have never seen government housing be luxurious. I've never seen it look anything more than jail-like. Look at North Ireland, which is all, the UK has control of that, Northern Ireland, and all the housing there. Look at, some of the places in England, in the UK, that have government housing. It's disgusting. It's despicable. So he's not saying we're going to lift everybody up, lift the people out of poverty that live in housing. He's saying we're going to build more of those barracks so all of you can live there because you don't want to work. So we're at a precipice, right? AOC is adopting Obama's speech. She's going around now campaigning with Bernie Sanders. They're campaigning all across the nation for socialist Democrats to win House seats and other seats. And Hakeem Jeffries has asked them to tone it down because he was supposed to be the guy with the message, but they basically told him, fuck off. So they're grooming her to run for president, because they believe that they could get a socialist here in America. And as long as we don't have the Save America Act, that may be a possibility. But it can change. It can all change. Because if we can get the Save America Act incorporated, if we can get the American people educated, the people that are fleeing the business people that are fleeing these Western nations will come here and create business, and Americans will go to work at a correct wage, and we will live the American dream, and socialism will die here. But really, we have to get the message out. Has King Charles turned to communism? Yeah, well, listen, of course, why wouldn't he? Because that's the whole idea, right? He'd be the head. He would have the one to benefit most. I mean, he's king. He's king. Why would he want anything less? And the irony is, right, the socialists are stomping around America saying no king, no kings, no kings. But they love Charles. Interesting. Yeah, it is scary, Colleen. Islam. Yeah, well, that's, you're right. You're right. I mean, but I think the Islam thing is also they're being used as useful idiots. At the end of the day, we've got to look back to China. It all goes back to Neville Roy Singham, Jodie Evans, Xi Jinping, the CCP, Code Pink. It's they who are doing this to undermine America. He's full of crap. He's Starmer just in another body. Oh no, he's much worse than Starmer. They're all the same. They're all the same. Thank you, Wang Zhu. He would still be living large while the rest of the country will be barren wasteland of poverty. Exactly, right? I mean, he's still going to be the king. So he'd be the king of impoverished people. I mean, isn't that how America was formed in the first place, right? King George was doing the same thing. We need to connect the dots. Share this show. I mean, I know that you all are, I ask you all the time, but this one is going to be, I guarantee you, there's going to be no views on this one. Because every time I mention the name Neville Roy Singham, that's it. Because he's got, that's how he made his money, in algorithm. And he's got his hands in this shit. So we've got to share the shit out of this show. Share it. Burnham is just like de Blasio telling, and just like Mamdani, telling us what he's going to do, and what he's going to do is put the final nail in the coffin of the UK. And they're going to eat it up. and he's going to, do the bait and switch stuff. Oh, we've got a conservative in charge of the purse strings. No, we don't. No, we don't. He just appointed him. What do you think? He's going to have a fight with him? Is he going to resign? So if he resigns, then he puts, a socialist in charge of the purse strings. And he said, I tried my best. It's happening in front of our eyes. I mean, if you don't see it, if people don't see it, then they want to be blind. We've got to talk to our kids. Tourists should decide to not go to Britain for vacation. It will turn into areas like New York City, dangerous attacks, no protection. Well, I mean, listen, the interesting thing is that I think it was Kevin who said, what army, what navy, we're going to see it fall apart. We're going to see NATO fall apart because of it. Because if the UK doesn't pay its fair share and America pulls out, which America is going to do, then NATO falls apart, which is good for Xi Jinping. And he's using Putin. Putin thinks he's using him. He's using Putin. The best position or the funniest position is you have two narcissists who want to be world dominant, who think that they're smarter than the other. And they're both smart, but Putin is starting to lose it a little bit. He's falling off his game. He's way behind Xi Jinping. But there's a lot of smoke and mirrors in China. There's a lot of smoke and mirrors in Russia, and Trump is exposing it all. But Trump has the Middle East in his pocket, and those countries, that's what we need. I never thought I'd ever say this, because I always liked his politics. I liked his common sense. But I never thought of him as a genius. But Trump is smarter than all of them. And I guess it's his negotiation skill. I guess it's his ability to see far ahead to make money. So, yeah. I mean, he is. He's a music buff. He's a history buff. So, I mean, maybe it's just because he's a guy from Queens and the way he speaks. He doesn't speak so eloquently where you would think that he was super educated, but he's educated in the school of life, where the rest of them, Putin rose up from nothing. But yeah, Trump's got them all outsmarted. It's kind of cool. I heard Staten Island is being inundated with burqas. Yeah, of course it is. And Chinese. I mean, it's the plan. It's the plan. The plan is coming together. It's the plan. They had a good plan, and they had some useful idiots help them, i.e. AOC, Bernie Sanders. I mean, I don't know that they're going to get paid off in the end, because they rarely do. You saw Code Pink, right? Threatening Obama, making things difficult for Obama, and Obama came over. Kathy Hochul, I'm going to stand strong, and she came over. Newsom came over. Nancy came over. They all are going to cave. I would say Biden came over, but he didn't even know what he was doing. He was walking dead. Yeah. So we're over time, and I don't want to be too over, because then we really won't get views. But share the show, please. You're absolutely right, Wanzu. Trump is very clever. He's very smart. He's a smart guy. The Middle East is the key here, and he's with them. Just prayers for our servicemen and women that were lost in this war. China continues to arm Iran, and we need to stop it. I believe he will. Price of gas is up and down. We need to figure out a way to get the Save America Act passed. Hi, Tom. How are you? Oh, also, moment of prayer for Richie Holmes, Juicy Lucy. What a loss that was. He and I didn't see exactly eye to eye on things, but I thought he was an interesting character, and he added a lot to Staten Island, and he'll be missed. Okay, don't confuse smart and clever. No, you're right. Yeah, I won't confuse smart and clever. He is a clever guy, but he's also smart. He is also smart. Because clever kind of makes you think that he's not really that smart, but he's smart and clever, and that's what's important. Good night, Colleen. Trump will have the advantage because he has the oil nations to curb oil to Europe. That's exactly right. So that's why he's smart and clever. Love you all. I will see you tomorrow. Share the show. Like and subscribe if you haven't already. We're still stuck at 885. We need that 115 more. So, ask your friends to watch. Ask your friends to subscribe. See you tomorrow night. And thanks for watching.